I'm here to ask the audience to give up hope. Give up the notion of hope, the word of hope. Once you give up hope, it enables a person to take action, redirects thinking patterns, and frees the mind from needless worry and concern. Hope is everywhere, and everyone thinks that it's a good thing. However, hope, as an optimistic attitude, if when examined, would have so many holes in it that if it were a life raft, it would quickly sink with its passengers. There is a slippery slope fallacy that to have not have one thing is to produce the opposite. In other words, if we don't have hope, then we have hopelessness. This type of thinking does not take into account the fact that there are many actions that can be taken in between these two polar opposites. Hope in and of itself produces ennui, inertia, discontent, and today I will be showing you how and why this is so, and hopefully bring you to your senses. Let's begin with the examples on how the feeling of hope produces ennui. According to the Oxford Dictionary, ennui is listlessness and dissatisfaction arising from lack of occupation or lack of excitement. So think about that, and then let's take some examples. I hope Daddy comes home soon, or I hope we have a good time at Grandpa's house today, or I hope Kay recovers from her illness. The prognosis is not good. Take the word and feeling of hope out of these sentiments. How does the feeling change? Would your feelings and thoughts and actions change with the omission of the word hope? Notice how the feeling changes yet still embraces a good feeling when hope is not there. I'm going to make Daddy a cup of hot cocoa when he comes home today. Or, no matter what happens at Grandpa's house today, as for me, I'm going to make sure it's a happy day. And the prognosis for Kay's illness is not good. Let me see what I can do to help her family. What happens when you have no hope in these situations? The inaction and wistful feelings are substituted with action. Hope stops action. Without hope, you find a way to feel better, and you contribute to the acceptance of the outcome for the hoped for situation and your part in it. Now, how does this hope produce inaction of inertia? Well, using the same dictionary reference, the Oxford Dictionary, inertia is defined as a tendency to do nothing, to remain unchanged unless acted on from an outside source. So what this means is that you use, or the person uses, past circumstances to rely on or come to their hope, their wished for sentiment. Here's some examples. I hope we have a happy anniversary this year. Or John has been in a bad mood lately. I hope he's nicer tonight. Or I hope I win the lottery. To take hope out of these equations is to spur thinking of past circumstances, analyze them, and ascertain if there's ways to cause a change, of which you could be the impetus of that change. Like this. I'm going to ask Carmine what he thinks we should do to have a happy anniversary this year. Or, John, here's your favorite martini. Sit down, relax, let's talk a little. Or, I better get a second job. Until I win the lottery, I've got to find a way to pay these bills. What did people do and say, and how did they behave before the advent of the word hope? Well, according to Merriam-Webster, the hope did not come into existence until the 12th century. And it wasn't in ordinary use until the 17th century when the Puritans popularized it, and that was according to a work in 1971 of Ian H. Murphy called The Puritan Hope. As the religious man hopes on God and the Bible's prophecies, the secular man stands by and hopes with the frequent effect of dissatisfaction and discontent. Why is there dissatisfaction and discontent? Well, this is almost opposite of ennui and inertia. The only outcome allowed for hope is to have the speaker, the hoped person, wishes met. There is no either or thought in hoping. Because there is only one ending to hope, discontent and dissatisfaction are the fruits of a situation that does not end in the way that was hoped for. So, this is a situation that comes after a lot of activity and a lot of efforts. Like, consider this. A wife realizes her husband has an alcohol problem. She talks to her husband. She goes to Al-Anon meetings. He attends a few AA meetings, but he says these are not necessary for him. They go to counseling years and years. She keeps a diary of the emotions that she's feeling with his behavior. She keeps a calendar of his actions with his drinking. And years after conducting their lives in this manner, she gives him notes also that tell when family things are happening, because she knows that he has drank so much he won't remember. And years of this, living with everything totally focused on her husband's conduct and behavior, she gives up hope. Or take the scenario where a man followed every rule, produced more than his coworkers, attended his job with passion and an enthusiasm, and the time comes for his review, and he gets a 15-cent raise, or no raise at all, because times are tight. That's what he's told. Well, after this happens year after year, isn't it better to give up hope and actively look for another job? One that he has reviewed the employees' comments on the net to find out whether he's going to be applying for a good company or not. See, with hope, the tendency is to keep trying to make the outcome and get the desire that the hope wants. The raise in pay, a better life with an addict or an abuser. When that person does not get what they hoped for, what they wished for, they're filled with discontent and dissatisfaction. Though they may deserve the raise, the better life, etc., despite their efforts to fulfill their hope, the other part of the analogy does not respond in like measure to any and all efforts that they have made. Giving up hope is only logical. Holding on to hope when it should not be a consideration is a burden to bear. The lesson here is to recognize and accept a thing when it is a thing. Here is a rock. Change it into a rose. An adage originated by Reinhold Niebuhr, with no fallacy rooted in common sense and pragmatism, applies in these situations. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, that I may be reasonably happy in this life. Note, atheists and agnostics do not need to use the word hope to adopt the sentiment in this phrase. Now that you have concrete examples of why you should give up hope, allow me this synopsis. Hope is not happiness. Hope does not bring happiness. Hope breeds despair, cultivates lethargy, inaction, and discontent. Whatever you have hoped for in the past, turn it around and see what you could do to make it better. Or, for that matter, do what you can right now to make it better. But if you have put in every effort and you've really tried really hard to make your wish come true, your hope come true, then step back and recognize not failure, because the only failure was your wish not coming true, but recognize the thing for what it is. Embrace acceptance. A rock cannot be made into a rose. Remember, your own efforts or your acceptance brings, if not happiness, then peace and calm, contributing to your ability to think things through, enabling you to change direction or to take the action in a situation, or to just leave the situation as it is and adjust your emotions accordingly. You will feel better once you give up hope.